The only time I've ever hear about this show is when there's something controversial that's going on with that family, and that's the only time I've ever heard about the show. But who watches it? Obviously nobody, since it's what she has to do to get viewers.
Subscribe to this channel. In case you are watching this channel and have not subscribed.
Well, folks, I've seen some bad parenting in my time, but giving your kids psychedelics, that's a new one. So, Jada Pinkett Smith seems like an awful human being. I say that because she banged her son's friend, and then she taped herself telling Will Smith about it, which seems really, really unpleasant.
Yeah.
And that you want to talk about broken relationships?
Bro, that's just the tip of the iceberg, too.
Relationships that don't seem to work too well. Well, they have externalities. One of those externalities was Chris Rock's face during the Oscars. But in any case, she is now reacting to her son Jaden's claim that she introduced their family to psychedelic drugs, which is excellent momming, by the way. That's like the best kind of momming, is you're home with your kids and you break out the LSD or whatever it was. It's like, kids, for dinner, we have spaghetti and Coke.
It makes sense on why Jaden and Willow act the way they do. Like they've acted like that way for a while though, which makes me even think that they was giving it young.
Well, what kind of Coke? Not that kind of Coke. It's the other kind. I brought straws, not for the soda. In any case, last week Jaden, 24, told audience members at the Psychedelic Science Conference all about his personal experience using psychedelics. According to BuzzFeed News, he claimed he was introduced to this by his mother, Jada. He said, I think it was my mom, actually, that was the first one to really make that step for the family. He said it was just for her for a really, really long time. And then eventually it trickled and evolved, and everybody found it in their own ways. He said this going on to explain that using psychedelics allowed him
it's mama's free time. You all leave mama alone. You know, she's popping that acid.
To feel a new level of love for his sister Willow and his half-brother Trey.
I didn't know
well, that's
Trey songs.
One way to put things. Siblings can argue so much and fight so much, and Lord knows me and my siblings have done so much of that in the past, he said. But the level of love and empathy I can feel for them inside of the psychedelic experiences and outside of the experiences has been something that's profound and beautiful. Okay, so I suppose that this now means that the answer to my children fighting one another is to drug them. I have 4 of them, and they have lightsaber fights that occasionally degenerate into, actually just kind of smacking each other. So I guess it's time to break out the mushrooms, apparently. Means the siblings are going to love each other. Oh, these families are so successful. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Jaden's claim is
that's so stupid, man. Like I'm not against acid or mushrooms or any psychedelic. I love psychedelics a lot. But at that young, man, like I don't know how young they was, but I'm assuming they was probably under 18. That's way too damn early. I think the first time I did acid before I did mushrooms. It sounds really bad when you call it acid. It's really that's the same type of stigma they try to put on drugs whenever they was doing the war on drugs, whenever they were when they named weed marijuana because it was the devil's lettuce. They were trying to put a stigma on it to scare kids away from it, so they named it acid. Acid is honestly really beneficial in a lot of ways. It helps with alcoholism, it helps with trauma, it helps with a lot of things, but I don't recommend it unless you have people around you that have used it and they can like advise you on how to do it, because it is really risky to take. Not like it's like you're gonna fuck you up forever type shit, but you could have a bad trip on it. It lasts for a while, and once you're on that ride, you're on it. And you also got to know how much to take and when to take, and yeah. But I'm not against acid and shit, but at that young or under 18, that shit's just way too soon. I took acid a lot whenever I was in high school. I like really stuck on it, and acid's a thing that you build a tolerance to it really quick because it's like 0.001 of a gram. I did this is what you need to do if you plan on taking it. You need to do your research on anything that you take. You need to do your research. I searched this shit for fucking weeks trying to figure out like the cons to it and the pros to it, and just reading Reddit and web pages. I researched the fuck out of that. But anyways, you build a tolerance to it real quickly. So if you take like one tab and you trip your ass off, you can't take another tab for like a week or two to get the same effect. A month, honestly, you want the same effect. And if you want to take it you can't take it every day, no matter how much you take. You can take it every other day if you keep upping the dosage, which I definitely do not advise. But if you take that shit moderately, if you take that shit with some self-control and you take that shit wisely, I do think it could be beneficial. I've never had a bad trip on mushrooms, but acid, I've had a bad trip on that shit, and that shit fucked me up.
His mom had been the one to introduce their family to psychedelics, is the one that took the internet by storm. Lady, introduce a dog or camping to your family. You don't introduce psychedelics, said one person. This is the most unserious family ever, said another. Jada said that she would be explaining everything we need to know in her upcoming memoir, Worthy, set to be released on October 17th. Again,
That bitch got to capitalize off of everything, huh?
excellent momming. So instead of being like, no, of course I would not just, give my kids mushrooms, she's like, I do have a memoir to sell. Here it is. Hollywood is filled with the most narcissistic people in the world.
Right, greedy,
Truly, they make
money
Washington look
hungry.
like a place of great humility and tactfulness. It all gets answered in the book, she said, before adding that the memoir will also explore all of the assumptions made about her and Will's family. I don't think they're assumptions. I mean, you guys kind of said what you are.
Whenever celebrities do this, what do you all think they do this for? Like, they had to have like some type of motivation in the back of their head. Like, oh, I can buy this new yacht if I sell this memoir. Oh, I can get this new supercar if I sell this memoir. Oh, I can get this new house in another side of the world if I get this memoir. Like, there's got to be something fueling them. And to me, that just seems fucking dumb, because I don't see how, if you're as rich as Jada Smith and Will Smith combined, I feel like you could afford anything. Like, at least I would assume so. Maybe not like, billion-dollar yachts and shit, but maybe that's what they want. I don't know. I just think that eventually, like, once you get like $100 million, you have all the houses and the cars that you want. What else would you want? Like, what are you chasing it for?
I think people have made a lot of assumptions, and you know what? Rightfully so, she said. I have to take ownership of that in regards to the narrative that I participated in, the falsehoods about myself. In the book, I really explain all of that extensively. This sounds like a terrible book.
Right.
So all of that is great. In fact, Jada spoke about the subject with Jaden himself on a 2021 episode of her Facebook show, Red Table Talk. That would be the same talk show where she just unleashed on her husband that she had banged her son's friend.
Dude, who watches that shit? The only time I've ever heard about this show is when there's something controversial that's going on with that family, and that's the only time I've ever heard about the show. But who watches it? Obviously nobody, since it's what she has to do to get viewers. But the fact that it's still even up and running and that she spent her time doing it must mean that at least some people watch it. Watch it be like a crazy number. I'll put it in the edit. Watch it be like some crazy number, like Joe Rogan numbers. I'll be shook. Although it's on Facebook, so I feel like a lot of the people are bots. But even then, it's still like, I don't see how even 50,000 people would watch that bitch's show. What the fuck has she ever done other than to humiliate and ruin her family?
Explaining that she was introduced to a plant medicine a decade prior to help deal with depression, Jada told Adrian and Jaden, I struggled with depression for so long. The thing about the plant medicine is it helps you feel better, but also solves the problems of how you got there in the first place. Well, my favorite thing about that is all the people are like, trust the science. Here's a plant. Guys, like, plant medicine doesn't, like, arsenic is a naturally occurring substance. Mushrooms can poison you to death. One of my favorite, I do love it when all of the people who are like, trust the science, give your kid the COVID jab. The science says so. Those are the same.
Ben Shapiro did the same thing.
And people who are like, woo-woo crystals. The crystals will heal you. They have healing properties. And also, I like plant medicine. Which plants? I don't care. I just go out in my front yard and take a bite out of a tree. Strong stuff from a...
I mean, mushrooms, the psychedelic mushrooms, shrooms, they are actually poison. Like, you eat them to food poison yourself to get the hallucination that you get. Acid, I didn't even know LSD was a plant. I thought it was more of a chemical or something that was made.
Jada Pinkett Smith. It's all about where you're sitting and why you're doing it. She said, every drug that's on the market right now can be abused. You can use it for good. You can use it recklessly. Then Jaden opened up about how he started using magic mushrooms out of sheer curiosity, after discovering that scientific studies had labeled the drug as one of the most significant advances in treating depression since Prozac. Explaining that he experienced ego dissolution, a state in which self-identity is completely lost, Jaden said, it was always in my head talking, telling me what I was, what I wasn't. That was the moment that really changed me.
Bro, Jaden was just on, I just saw a video, like, I don't know, a year or two ago of this fool crying, talking to the camera. You did not fix shit. If you had depression, you still got that shit. Because I don't know, one grown man is going to go on Facebook Live and cry. Or I don't know if it was live. I think that was literally just a video he took and then posted it, which is worse. Like, what? Like, you had time to watch it back. You're like, yeah, I think people need to see me cry. And you upload it. That's the most cringe shit anyone could do, man or woman.
Oh, this seems like so many beautiful families in Hollywood who should probably be writing scripts and making films that they then sell to you and your kids about how families ought to operate. Their moral standards are the best moral standards. We should totally take them seriously on all of these matters, for sure. Are you tired of breathing in polluted terms?
Yeah, it wasn't an ad. It was it was an ad that skipped to the end of the video, which kind of fucking weird to me. But yeah, like I said, I'm not against LSD or hallucinogen drugs. I think hallucinogen drugs are honestly really powerful, and I think that they can open up a part of your mind that you haven't experienced. But that, with that said, it's not something you should just take if you're not ready, because you have to be like calm, not calm exactly, because I was nervous the first time, but if you're like overly nervous to where you're like freaking out, definitely don't do it. If you're in an upset mood to where you're depressed and you just hate your life that day, don't do it. If you're mad and you're just in a ball of rage, do not do it. You have to be in a good mood to do this type of drug. It's an amplifier, honestly. That's pretty much all that it does. I mean, it does best with your vision and shit, but it really amplifies your emotions, and whatever feelings you're feeling will be the feelings that you feel while you trip. But I'm not against it. I honestly, I don't want to say I recommend it, but it is, I think, an experience everyone should at least feel at some point in their life, whether you're fucking 25, whether you're 50, or whether you're 80. I think at some point in your life you should at least try it, because it just, like I said, it just opens up a part of your brain. It makes you think and feel different, and you can't describe what the trip feels like. Nobody can describe what the trip feels like. It's just the most undefinable experience that you could experience. But Jada Smith's a terrible parent. I don't, regardless if she gave her kids drugs, she's just a terrible parent all the way around. But that's gonna be the end of that video. Please leave a like. If you guys got anything to say about the video, let me know down below. You know I'll read every single comment. And if you fuck with your boy, will you please give me a subscription? With that said, deuces.
Bitch, I been drinking, but don't tell my P.O. Bitch, I been smoking, but don't tell my P.O.